In this video, we are going to review trig functions, and we are going to use them in real-world problems. Find the value of each trig ratio. So we're just setting up the fraction or the equation, and then we're done. First one, cosine of c, I label O, H, A. Cosine is A over H. Tangent of x, I label opposite, hypotenuse adjacent, tangent is O over A. Tangent again from A, I label O, H, A. Tangent is O over A over 40. Cosine of x, I label O, H, A. Cosine is A over H. Sine of A, I label O, H, A. Sine is 28 over 35. O, H, A, 24 over 26. Sine of C, O, H, A, 36 over 39. Sine of Z would be O over H. Sine of Z would be O over H. And tangent of C would be O over A. And that would be just setting up your trig functions, and then that's complete. On the next questions of review, we are going to be finding the missing side. O, A. Tangent of 16 equals O over A. To solve it, I times by 15. Then we enter in 15 tangent of 16 equals 4.3. And I only move to the nearest tenth. 13, I have H and A. That's cosine of 36 equals A over H times by 17. 17 cosine of 36 equals 13.8 when I round it up to the nearest tenth. We have another cosine of 41 equals A over H times by 14. 14 cosine of 41, 10 point, round to sixth. O, H, A, that means we're doing tangent of 71 equals O over A times by x. Then I divide by tangent of 71. X equals 15 divided by tangent of 71. 5.2. 19, I have O, H. I'm going to do it over here. I have sine of 54 equals O over H times by x. Divide by sine of 54. X equals 13 divided by sine of 54. 16.1. Here, O, H, A, that means we're using cosine of 39 equals A over H times by 20. 20 cosine of 39 equals 15.5. Alright, we are going to skip the even side, and we are going to go to the angles, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll just do this odd section. So to find the angle, I label O, H, A. O and A mean we use tangent of an angle I don't know. O over A. Do the inverse so that it is now attached to the 15 over 22. Second tangent, so it has that inverse. 15 divided by 22. 34 degrees. That's what that angle would be right there. Then I do OH. That means I'm using sine of an angle I don't know equals O over H. Do the inverse and attach it to that fraction. So I do second sine 44 divided by 58, which is equal to 49 degrees for that missing angle. OHA, cosine of an angle I don't know equals A over H. I do the inverse of cosine, which would be 5 divided by 8 as my fraction. 51 degrees. OHA, that's tangent of an angle I don't know equals 29 over 30. Do the inverse. Second tangent, 29 divided by 30 equals 44 degrees. All right, 4 word problems. When they say an angle of elevation, that means we are looking up at an object. So let's say this is your line of sight. If you look up, that's an angle of elevation. If you look down, it's an angle of depression. So when we look at the image, we're going to classify which is what. So I have a bird. Here's the line of sight from the bird. As it looks at the lighthouse, it is looking down, so it is an angle of depression. Here's my line of sight from the lighthouse. If I look up at the bird, that's an angle of elevation. But if they look down at the boat, this is now an angle of depression. And the boat up to that lighthouse is elevation. Let's try a few word problems. A lifeguard is watching a beach for a line of sight 6 feet above the ground. So his line of sight is 6 feet above the ground. He sees a swimmer at an angle of depression. So here's his line of sight. He's looking down at the swimmer at an angle of depression of 8 degrees. How far from the tower is the swimmer? So they want to know how long it would take the swimmer to get to this side. This is the angle of depression. If you notice, this angle and this angle are alternating. They would be interior of a transversal, so I can say that this angle is also 8 degrees. They're the same size of angle. Then I label O, H, A. H I scribble out, there's no hypotenuse, which means I'm using tangent of my angle 8 degrees equals O over A. Now I can use trig to solve for how far the swimmer is from the tower. Times by x, that cancels out. Divide by tangent of 8. X is equal to 6 divided by tangent of 8, 42 point, that would round up to a 7. And the measurement is in feet. That is how far the swimmer is from the lifeguard. 6. A jet is flying at an altitude of 30,000 feet. So altitude means that's how high they are. An air traffic controller measures the angle of elevation to the plane. So here's traffic control. The angle of elevation would be looking up at the plane is 16.5 degrees. Find the horizontal distance. Horizontal is side to side, so I need to find what that is. I have OHA. Tangent of 16.5 equals O over A. Now I can solve it, so I'm going to times by x to cancel that out. Then I divide by tangent to get the x alone. X is equal to 30, 1, 2, 3, divided by tangent of 16.5. 101,278.3 feet. That's the horizontal distance from the airplane to the traffic control. A trolley car track rises vertically, vertical is up and down, 40 feet, over a horizontal distance of 630 feet. What is the angle of elevation? Angle of elevation means looking up, so that means I'm trying to find that angle right here. Then I label OHA. There are a lot of tangents. O over A. Then I use the inverse to find the angle. So second tangent, 40 divided by 630, 'I'd round up to degrees, 4 degrees. That's how steep the tracks would be for the trolley. Mary is flying a kite. There's my kite. With 50 meter string. The string is making a 50-degree angle with the ground. Okay. Ground. The string is making a 50-degree angle with the ground. So here's the string, here's the ground, 50-degree angle. How high above the ground is the kite? So I don't know how high it is. I label O, H, I don't know what A is. Sine of 50 equals O over H. Solve it by timesing by 50. 50 sine of 50 equals 38.3. That's how many meters the kite is above the ground. From the top of a lighthouse, 210 feet high, the angle of depression, so if they're looking down, is 27 degrees at a boat. Find the distance of the boat to the foot of the lighthouse. 27, they're alternating interior angles, so I can just put it down here. They will be the same size angle. Now I can solve by using O, no H, A. Tangent of 27 equals O over A times by X, divide by tangent, X equals 210 divided by tangent of 27. 412.1 feet. That's how far the boat is from the base of the lighthouse. Example 10, the height of a tree is 15 meters. To the nearest whole degree, what is the angle of elevation of the sun when the tree casts a shadow? So here's the sun, cast the shadow. Angle of elevation would be looking up. Cast the shadow, that is 9.3 meters long. Here's the shadow. They want to know the angle of elevation. So then I would set it up. OA. Tangent of an angle equals O over A. Do the inverse to find the angle. Second tangent, 15 divided by 9.3 is 58 degrees for that angle of elevation. A meteorologist reads radio signals to get information from a weather balloon. The last alert indicated that the angle of depression of the weather balloon to the meteorologist. Okay, here's weather balloon. Angle of depression means looking down. 41 degrees. And the balloon was 1,810 meters away from his location on the diagonal. So the diagonal to the nearest meter, how high above the ground is the balloon? Alternate interior means if the depression is 41, this one will also be 41 for the elevation up at the balloon. Now I can label OH. Sine of 41 equals O over H. Multiply by it to get it out of the denominator and to get the x alone. 1810 sine of 41 equals, I said to the nearest meter, so that would be the nearest meter. 1,187 meters. That's how high the balloon is above the ground. A sonar operator on an anchored cruiser detects a pod of dolphins feeding at the depth of 255 meters directly below. Okay. Boat, dolphins, 255 meters directly below. If the cruiser travels 450 meters west, and the dolphins remain at the same depth to feed, what is the angle of depression from the cruiser to the pods? So if it moves to this location, what is the angle of depression? So angle looking down towards the dolphins. Okay, let's do that first. So when I solve that, I have O, no H, A. Tangent of x equals O over A. I do the inverse to find the angle. Second tangent, 255 divided by 450. 29 would round up to 30 degrees for that angle. Then it said, this is the second question. I'm going to redraw my picture. I know that this angle is 30, just barely found it. What is the distance y between the cruiser and the pods. So here's my new cruiser, here's the pod of dolphins, so they want me to find this distance. There are two ways you could do this. If you wanted to, you could use this angle that you found and do sine, or I could do 450 squared plus 255 squared equals the hypotenuse squared. See what that equals? 450 squared plus 255 squared equals, square root it, so that is how far the boat is on that diagonal to the pod.